You've felt it before. The meeting where your idea was ignored until someone louder repeated it. The relationship where your words were subtly twisted. The social circle where status mattered more than substance. You walked away unsettled, sensing something was off but unable to articulate it. But that exhaustion is not paranoia. It is pattern recognition without a framework. You were witnessing power, not conversation. Ego, not dialogue. Positioning, not discussion. And the discomfort came from realizing you were reacting while someone else was directing. This is not motivation, it is revelation. The moment you see the invisible mechanics beneath interaction, you cannot unsee them. But that awareness is not neutral. It will either refine your perception into disciplined intelligence, or tempt you to manipulate recklessly. What you become depends on what you control next. What unsettled you was not disagreement, it was hierarchy. Conversations are rarely about truth. They are about positioning. Who sets the tone? Who defines the frame? Who reacts first? Every interruption, every sarcastic remark, every public challenge is a subtle test of standing. Most men enter these exchanges believing logic will decide the outcome. When confronted, they defend, they justify, they explain. In doing so, they reveal something more valuable than their argument. Their nervous system. Reaction is exposure. The faster you respond emotionally, the easier you are to read. And what is readable becomes predictable. The strategic few do something different. They watch for patterns. They measure tone shifts. They notice who escalates and who remains composed. They understand that the real contest is not over ideas, but over perception. You were not simply talking. You were competing, not for truth, but for position. And you did not even know the game had started. Machiavelli articulated what most prefer to avoid. Perception shapes power more than intention. A man may believe he is right, ethical, even noble, yet still lose influence if he appears weak or uncertain. Righteousness does not automatically translate into authority. Morality alone does not shield you from those who understand leverage. It does not stop subtle manipulation. It does not protect you from strategic positioning. Influence belongs to the one who controls interpretation, not merely the one who holds truth. Machiavelli was not a prophet of chaos. He was a strategist of stability. He studied how power actually operates in imperfect systems. His realism unsettles because it removes comforting illusions. But ignoring how influence works does not make you virtuous. It makes you vulnerable. Understanding power is not corruption, it is awareness. What determines your character is how you manage it. Here is where the knowledge becomes dangerous. Once you understand how influence works, you are tempted to use it to compensate for insecurity. Insecure men weaponize insight. They test people for sport. They manipulate to feel superior. They chase reactions because reactions confirm power. But that is not intelligence. That is ego amplified. The disciplined man turns the lens inward first. He studies his own need for validation. He recognizes that strategy without restraint mutates into cruelty. The moment you crave domination over direction, you have already lost control of yourself. There is a difference between directing outcomes and dominating individuals. One is strategic. The other is compensatory. One requires patience. The other feeds insecurity. Power reveals who you are. If you seek validation, it will corrupt you. If you seek clarity, it will refine you. The first expression of real power is restraint. Silence, used deliberately, is leverage. When challenged publicly, resist the reflex to defend immediately. Pause. Let the other person fully reveal their position. Often they overextend. Calm silence forces clarity without confrontation. Consider a workplace scenario. Your approach is questioned in front of others. The reactive man rushes to justify himself, stacking explanations. The disciplined man narrows the issue. He asks a focused question. He redirects the conversation to outcomes, not emotion. He does not raise his voice or accelerate his pace. In doing so, he resets the frame. Emotional non-reactivity preserves influence. Every visible irritation signals vulnerability. Strategic unpredictability reinforces authority. When others cannot predict your emotional state, they hesitate before pressing further. Loud manipulation seeks attention. Quiet control shapes perception. But none of it works without internal discipline. Self-control precedes influence. If you cannot govern your impulses, you cannot responsibly govern the room. Emotional detachment is not indifference. It is discipline. The actor performs for approval, adjusting constantly to the audience. The architect designs structures that stand regardless of applause. When you detach, you move from performer to builder. Think of it as an emotional quarantine. Not every criticism deserves entry. Not every provocation requires response. By filtering what reaches your nervous system, you protect clarity. Without detachment, knowledge of power becomes intoxicating. It feeds ego. It encourages overreach. With detachment, influence remains measured and precise. Very few men can hold power without abusing it. Fewer still can remain calm when they realize they could dominate. Restraint, not aggression, is the mark of disciplined intelligence. Genius is disciplined perception under control. The monster is ego reacting with new tools. Sovereignty begins internally, not through dominance over others but mastery over yourself. Most will misuse this knowledge. They will chase control instead of clarity. You do not have to. Remain calm, remain unreadable, move deliberately, and shift from being manipulated by the environment to quietly shaping it.